Welcome back to Love Your Food. It's back into the cold weather again. We're into the depths of winter. It's around Christmas time, so we have this amazing, really rich and hearty Canadian classic split pea soup. Now, this is not the super traditional version of it. We don't use a ham hock in this, so you can make this actually vegetarian if you use a vegetable stock, but we'll show you our ingredients. So we're starting with our split peas. We're using chicken stock, but again, you can use vegetable stock if you want to make this vegetarian. Some carrot, some leek. We're using some celery, some thyme. We have some fresh thyme, bay leaf, a shallot, and an onion. We were also going to be using garlic, which we didn't have in that shot. So we're just going to start by getting our carrot started. This is just a regular, one of those big restaurant service carrots. You can usually get them at the grocery store. We're going to peel that. And then Chef Caleb is going to cut this into panels. And then from there, he's going to cut it into sticks. And then from there into dice. So this is really the easiest way. We're not going to be burr mixing this soup or anything, so this is really the easiest way to get some nice small bits of carrot that are mostly going to melt into the soup. They're going to become quite soft. This is going to cook for a long, long time. And the carrots do a couple of things. They add a nice sweetness to it. They also help thicken the soup in the end result. I'm sure everyone's familiar with the expression, thick as pea soup. You're going to see why by the end of this video. So we just want a nice dice. Again, this is a pretty rustic dish. It doesn't need to be perfect. A little bit of oil in our Dutch oven. And we're going to get our carrots started before all the other vegetables because they do take a little bit more time. So we're going to get those in there and just start them sweating a little bit over the heat. So we're going to cover that, let them steam and cook a little bit. In the meantime, we're going to get our other veggies ready. So these are our leeks. Now, we've mentioned in the past, we tend to take fresh leeks and keep them in the freezer, which really helps the texture, makes them really easy to deal with. These are no exception. These are the same. Those are frozen leeks. We're just chopping up, and it really helps them sort of melt into the soup and makes them a little nicer to deal with overall. For the celery, we do, again, want pretty small pieces. We don't want large chunks. So we're going to cut these into sticks and then cut them into pretty small pieces. And again, after a long cooking time, these are mostly going to disappear into the soup. And we're going to add all these veggies at the same time. So here's our garlic. We're just going to give that a thin slice. It can be fairly rough. You don't want to like mince it or get it really, really small. You want to keep it kind of a round flavor. The more you cut garlic, the hotter it gets. So we're just going to give it a slice. Same with the shallot. Again, a pretty thin slice on the shallot. This is just for some really nice flavor in our soup. And then for the onion, again, we're just going to give it a pretty standard dice. Here's the first half, and here is finishing off the second half. So now we've got all of our veggies chopped, and they are ready to go into the pot. So after that's all done, we're going to go back to our pot and just see how the carrots are doing. If you notice they've sweated a little bit, then it's perfect. Everything else can go in at the same time. So we're going to get our leeks, our celery, our onion, our shallot, and our garlic all into the pot at the same time. All of the amounts are going to be in the description below. So once everything's in there, we're going to add our aromatics. So we've got our sprigs of thyme and our bay leaf. We're going to add a little sprinkle of salt as well, just to get some of the juices coming out of the veggies. And give everything a good stir. So once everything's well combined, you see those carrots just starting to get a little bit soft on the edges. All of our other veggies are in. We're going to cover that and let that start to cook. So we came back a little bit later just to see where everything was. It hadn't really gotten quite as far as we want, but if it's cooking really slow, that's perfect. We don't want to get a lot of color. We don't want that sort of caramelization in this kind of soup. So if it's going really low and slow and you're just sort of seeing it slowly soften, that's exactly what we're looking for. So we're going to let this go for a little bit longer. We're going to cover it up again. And come back a little bit later, and now you can see a lot more liquid has come out of the veggies, out of the bottom. This is looking just about exactly where we want it to be. So everything's gotten quite soft at this point. So we're going to add 1 container of our chicken stock, again, or vegetable stock or mushroom stock, whatever you prefer. This recipe is actually vegetarian or vegan if you use vegetable stock here. We use a low sodium, a low salt added stock because we like to sort of flavor it ourselves. So here's where we add our split peas. So these are just dried split peas. You can use the yellow or the green. They're very similar to each other. Give everything a good stir. Make sure it's well combined. Make sure there's nothing stuck to the bottom. And that lid's going to go back on. So we come back a little bit later. It has reached a boil, so we're going to turn this down just a little bit now. We don't want it to boil really hard for the whole cooking time, but once it's come up to the boil, you can see the peas have really expanded quite a lot and have soaked up a lot of that liquid. So we're just going to add a little bit more water that we've added. We just popped it in the stock container to get the last little bits of stock out as well. Just want to make sure everything stays covered. We want to make sure it's all we got enough liquid for the peas to expand a little bit because they will get quite big and they will thicken the soup rather a lot. And cover that back up. So it's been simmering for quite a long time. We're getting a little closer to what we expect. At this point, you can start pulling the aromatics out. You can get those thyme stems, mostly the leaves have come off, so you can just pull those stems out. You don't want them in your final soup. And now's a good time to sort of test right now, just to see where everything's at. So take one of the split peas and just sort of push it against the side of the pot. Same with the carrot. If they're really, really soft, you're getting close. If they're not quite soft enough, you might want to give it a little more time. So you can see here it has thickened rather a lot more already. The peas are getting a lot softer. The carrots are getting softer, but it's not quite there yet. But this is much more what we're looking for as far as split pea soup. It has thickened rather a lot. The carrots are still a little bit al dente. We do want everything to get quite soft. So we come back after a little while, and now's a great time to give it a taste, just to see if we need to adjust the flavors at all. Give it a little taste. Because the peas are quite starchy, they do take a lot of salt. They will absorb a lot, so don't be afraid to season quite aggressively in this. We're also going to add a little bit of Tabasco sauce for that a little bit of heat, a little bit of kick, that nice acidic tang, and also a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Now, Worcestershire sauce is not vegan or vegetarian, but there are vegetarian and vegan versions of it, so you can always use one of those. I think they usually use Marmite or something similar to that. So give everything a good season, make sure it's where you want it, and at this point you're pretty much done. It is possible to make it a smoother soup if you want to use an immersion blender or a stick blender in there, but this is a rustic classic at where it is right now. This is just about where we wanted it. We're going to garnish that with a little bit of bacon, and that's it. We're done. This is a really delicious, hearty, warming soup. It's absolutely delicious. It stays well in the fridge for a long time. It's got a lot of flavors. Really, really nice and great deep winter soup. So if you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. And remember to love your food.